Welcome to the Power of One. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with a mother whose son is autistic, but yet dynamic. We are going to be an inspiration for those mothers, fathers, grandparents, guardians who have the wonderful pleasure of having someone autistic to care for. So we're going to break it down and we're going to figure out what's the best way to love on our loved ones and still empower them. Welcome to the show, Shanita.
Thank you for having me. How you doing?
Good, good, good. So, Shanita, let's start at the beginning. Now, I want to start at the very, very, very beginning. You
Oh,
were pregnant,
yes.
and at some time during that pregnancy, did you know that something may be different with your baby?
Absolutely not. Everything was on point, healthy. He was healthy. I was healthy. He was born probably 4 days late, I would say. Um, there were no signs that anything was wrong.
Okay. All right. At what point did you think, hmm, there may be some developmental delays?
I would say around one, where he should have been verbally he should have been speaking. He should have been at least saying hi or bye. He wasn't saying things, but he was doing a lot of things on his own, like using the remote control, uh, able to try and make his own food. We were like, I actually took him to the pediatrician to tell him my son's doing things too early. So that was one of the things that I saw. He literally was changing his own diapers, just odd behavior, but maybe not delayed. So that the
Okay.
only thing was delayed was the speech. And talking to his pediatrician, he told me that that was fine because he was advanced in other areas.
So when did you actually know your baby was autistic?
Well, I found out when he was about 3
Okay.
because just taking him because I didn't know anything about mental health or psychology. I would take him to his pediatrician every time I thought something was off or different about him. And he would just send me home and be like, "Well, he's not sick." So once I got there and told him, "Listen, I'm not leaving until you tell me something because I don't know what else to do." And my son's not speaking; he's 3. He's also not responding to me. So I thought that he had hearing issues when all along he just, he had autism. But I didn't find out until he was 3. I took him to Elwyn, and although I was supposed to wait for another meeting, they told me right away, um, it's going to be another few sessions, but I can tell you right now that your son has autism.
At
And
that point, what did that mean to you?
I thought he was going to start drawing on paper and the walls and everything because I thought that meant artistic. And then I found out the way they explained it is they said that your son doesn't know the rules to the game. And I said,
Mm.
what? And once I realized what was going on, I knew that it made sense now that something was there because he was just always different from other kids, if you ask me. It's the delay part to me was not understanding boundaries. No matter how many times I corrected him, he would try and go in the street or just go in the medicine cabinet, whatever he could do to destruct. That was he went straight to that, and he never like turned to look you in the face or respond, or it was just him in his own world. And I also realized him being around like a crowd of people would irritate him. He would just run off. We would all be looking for him. Um, so I basically knew at 3 and got him services right away. He's had services since. Elvin was really good to us. He started off um, with the preschool for kids that were that had delayed and mental issues and speech therapy needed and all of those things. So
Now,
from
could
there,
he, and I'm
mm,
sorry not to cut you off,
mm,
could he function in a regular classroom?
no, no, he would not be able to do that. Especially if there's a certain amount of children. I think the most that's ever been in his class was about 8 children.
Okay. Okay.
Anything more than that would be extremely overwhelming, I think, for everyone.
Okay. Now, did you find that he would be emotional?
Yeah, so the tantrums were several times a day. And it would be over things like I think it was just frustration. He was not able to communicate, I'm hungry, I'm tired, or I just don't want to be bothered. And the stress would come outdoors most of the time. So that would also stress me out. So we would always be in like your local supermarket or Target and then he would flip out and start throwing things, throwing himself on the floor. This was all before speech. He didn't speak until he was around 5 or 6.
Mm. Now, would he like take stuff off the? You said throwing stuff. He would like take stuff off the
Oh,
shelves in the
oh
market, or
yes. Would take the entire shelf down, okay? From the beginning of the aisle to the end. And of course, there was always the onlooker that's like, oh, look how her children are behaving. And so you had to honestly deal with him and his behaviors and then them and their behaviors.
okay, okay,
And now you're
yeah,
trying to correct him while correcting them. And you just
right.
get tired of saying, oh, he's autistic.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped.
And you
I
just
stopped
do you.
and I
Now,
just, yeah.
so as a parent, how did you find out what worked, what didn't work? It's trial and error. Because how old is your baby?
Now he's 22.
Okay, your baby's 22. And what's your baby's name?
His name is Clinton.
Clinton, but we call
Yeah,
him
we call him CJ.
CJ. Okay, I like
CJ.
CJ. I have an
Yeah.
AJ because my
AJ,
my
me
oldest
too.
son, he's an Andre Jr. So
Okay.
we call him AJ. So as a parent, did you have to it was trial and error, I'm sure.
Oh,
This
yes.
worked, this didn't work. And I'm going to speak about my household. Okay.
Okay.
So as a mother and having my two babies, I have a 28-year-old, he's married, has 3 children, and my Cameron, my first grandson, Cameron is autistic. He's amazing.
Of
He's
course.
very high functioning, so he's in a normal class and he's smart as a whip. But I'm going to again speak to my children. And with my husband and I, our parenting tactics are not aligned. I'm going to say mine is the best. I don't know.
Right.
So, did you ever find that again, it's trial and error?
Right.
And I mean, come on now, as a mom, we want to, okay, let's figure this out. Listen, okay, what do you want? A whole Nintendo station? I will buy you a whole Nintendo
Yes.
station with 17 new games. We can't pay the gas bill, but that's okay.
Right. Don't worry about that.
So, did you find
um,
it was all by trial and error? And
it's, mhm.
also, did you find like in with your trial and error, you had to be stern at during sometimes, no matter if he cried or threw a temper tantrum?
Absolutely. And just so you know, it's still trial and error. It doesn't go away. It's just something new every day, but everything's it's still a challenge every day. Every day is going to be something new, and they're going to try you every day. So with Clinton, my mother was his babysitter if I was not home. I had a full-time job, so I was always at work. And of course, my mom being a grandmother, I would leave her instructions. This is what we're going to do, mom. Follow this, follow this schedule and make sure he's eating this diet. And so of course none of that happened. I mean, not she didn't even try to look at the
I'm a
paper
grandma. I
that I
get it.
left.
Yeah, I get it. Cheese pops as soon as you leave. You don't eat those plain Cheerios. I get it. Okay.
Exactly.
Grandma was being
So
grandma. Go ahead. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
so it's fine. So I didn't have that structure for him. I believe when he went to school, he got a good amount of his abilities to even pay attention for 2 minutes, just 2 minutes to do the things he's supposed to do. He had really good staff there. His teachers were really good. I How I learned how to get in line with him was I would go to his school too. We would be in class together. Thank his teacher very much, Ms. Lori, for not kicking me out. And I would sit and try to learn because let's not forget I was a teenage mother, so I had no idea
Mm,
what I was
okay.
doing at all, like at all. So not only did I have a baby, I had a special needs baby now, and I had no idea what to do. So Clinton was raising me, uh, so to speak. So every day or every time I came up with something, I was like, oh, I'm not just a mom, I have to be a parent. Oh,
Mm,
this is
mm,
real.
that's
So trying
powerful. Yeah.
to discipline or uh, keep him on a schedule and all those things were um, and still are something we always learn anew
Mm,
because keeping Clinton on a schedule might mean if I try to leave out for work, he'll flip out. Or if you try to put him in a bed at a certain time, he's not going because
mm,
it's different between myself and my mother. So
right,
he was
right.
never able to bring the two together. So I think we still have issues with that.
And you have other children?
I do. I have two other boys
Now,
that are
so
younger than Clint.
you can't, of course, parent them the same. And again, with CJ being autistic, so you can't parent them the same because his routine has to be different than your other children.
Yes. However, I tried to do that and it didn't work.
Okay.
I tried to say, listen, whatever Clinton's doing, we're all doing because I don't have the time nor the patience to try and separate things. So it still wound up me actually doing three different things because don't we all have a special need, right? So so I wound up with Clinton. Their discipline was out the window because he did not respond to standing in
Mm,
the corner. He did not respond to having things taken away because he didn't understand.
okay.
So a lot of I would call it redirecting him. So it was a lot of hey, don't do that, all day. So if you're not right on top of him, you were going to be sorry by the end of the day. And I won't go into everything, but he can unlock a chain on a door. He can pick a lock. He showed me how to open up a medicine bottle. Um, yeah, so we had locks on the cabinets, the refrigerator, all of those things. He would welcome me to watch him open them. So you couldn't you couldn't childproof your house with him there. He also would take the socket, the plug cap cover off and plug the things he wanted in and put them back when he was done to let you know I'm
Wow.
being safe. So
Right, right.
he was being safe, but just letting you know this is not going to stop me. And he was way too advanced for that. So
Okay.
I
Now,
think that's what we were dealing with.
so he graduated high school.
Yes, I kept Clinton in high school until 21, and now he's 22. Honestly, right now we're just figuring it out.
Okay. Okay. What does he
Um,
like to do?
oh, anything theater or comedy, anything with a stage in it, that's what he wants to do, where he wants to be. He'll stand on top of a street corner, anywhere, just to perform for people. He likes to tell jokes.
Okay.
He likes to sing. He likes to act. So right now, I'm just trying to fall in line with him once again. Like I said, trying to get around my work schedule and take him to different auditions. And we have like a local comedy club where we live, and just trying to get him in the community. Like so he's not just in the house or feeling like he doesn't have anything lined up for him. I like to try and get him up. So we don't have a schedule still, but I
Yeah.
do try and have him busy during the day.
Now, will he be able to get a job
Ooh,
before he
I
becomes famous and comes back to get Aunt Mel? Don't forget about the small people.
yes.
So before he gets famous and becomes this famous comedian, you know what I mean? So can he get a job now?
Yes, he could get a job with services. He would need a job coach
Okay.
to be there with him. Just Clinton going, I mean, he could probably get the job. He understands, mostly about filling out the application. The interview would probably go different.
Right.
And him being in any establishment would probably go different as well, as far as how he interacts with the public.
Mm. Does he stay
Yeah.
home by himself?
Yes, he can do that. He can stay home
Okay.
by himself. I wouldn't do a whole 24 hours,
Right.
but I would be less than worried. He's very safe, as far as I do say things like maybe just use the air fryer
Okay.
and
Okay.
because not that he can use the stove, but I feel like he would forget and go and watch a show or
Uh,
something like that. So I
okay.
do try and I do little things like buy electric tea kettles and things of that nature. So like any type of tea or whatever you want, maybe just use the countertop one rather than the actual gas stove.
Okay. So now, if someone was to speak to CJ, would they be able to tell that he is autistic? And saying that, did you ever get, besides the supermarket and him showing that he was upset, do you ever get ignorant people who say ignorant things?
All the time. Glad you asked
Mhm.
that. So you can't tell right away with Clinton, especially if he's in a seated position. He kind of, because to me, he walks a little funny, but if he's in a seated position, talk before he speaks, you wouldn't know.
Mhm.
Once he starts talking, you notice a little bit because he has um a like very high toned voice, but it's what he says is what is when people realize, because it's usually very honest, brutally, what he says. So it's usually something like, hey, nice to meet you, I really want to help you with your weight issues or your acne
No,
problems
thank you.
or
Yeah, because I got weight issues, so I'm good.
no, you don't. Yeah, he'll let you know though. He'll let me know if I'm, in need of any type
But I
of plastic
understand. Yeah.
surgery and so obviously that becomes a problem with a stranger, because they don't understand or what's going. And honestly, I am at the point where once again, I don't correct,
Okay.
um, but because I mean, he's not usually lying about the situation, but I mean, and I said one day to someone, I was trying to defend Clinton, and I said, wait a minute, he's autistic. And he turned around and said, no, I'm not. You are. So I won't be doing that again. Yeah. So the labeling now, I do now understand why people get upset with the labels
Yeah.
because I didn't like that.
Yeah.
When he said it back to me about me, I was like, I don't like that. And so I just try and reiterate to him like what, about feelings and what people might do or say because they can be ignorant. I mean, let's on top of being autistic, he is a Black man. So he runs into a lot of because he's very friendly. So he'll run into a lot of situations where people are like, "Oh, what is he talking to us for? What is he doing over
Right.
here?
Right.
What is he saying? Why is he saying that?" And that obviously takes me to a different place,
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to come to his defense. So I have to probably daily have a talk with Clinton and myself to say, "Listen, CJ." Don't just go up talking to people. That's always usually my thing before we leave the house.
Right.
Don't talk to any strangers, please. He's gonna do it. But
Yeah.
at least now maybe he'll have some proof or some understanding that
Mhm.
this might hurt someone's feelings, talking to because he identifies better with like children
Mhm.
because people his age, he's not really on the same level. So I try to have the conversation where like, CJ, just don't talk to anybody's kids. He thinks it's fun because he likes to make voices and noises and kids
Mhm.
laugh at him, because he's funny.
Right. Right.
But for me as a mom and trying to protect him, it's hard.
Now,
So
what would his actual, and correct me if I'm wrong or if I say this incorrectly. So, okay, you said he's how old?
22.
He's 22. But what would his actual mindset be in age wise?
I would probably say, I mean, maybe I wouldn't say age, but maybe fifth to sixth grade level.
Okay. Now, with that being said, does he have friends like his age, or does he prefer, like you said, to play with the little children? Like if
Um,
somebody saw that, they would think, okay, something's wrong there.
right,
But
what's going
again,
on?
this is how he relates because he's on that same level as them.
Yes. So he does have friends his age, not too many, but I'll say associates because he goes to these anime events. He loves the anime events. And there he finds people his age but like him.
Okay.
That may be a little, quirky. They like the anime and the things that I would consider childish.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. There's people who are not on the spectrum who love anime, like my brother and his
Mhm.
brothers. So I find that at these conventions he find a lot of people that relate to him. So yes, while we're usually the children that he's around is usually our family, etc. He does kind of go off on his own, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
what advice would you have for that mother, father, grandparents, and guardians who just find out that their baby is autistic? And when I say baby, again, that could go
ooh,
from 0 to 99.
yes,
So they
yes, because
find
people
out
find
that
out late.
their baby is autistic. What words of advice would you have for them after you probably become a little angry, a little sad, and then you figure out, okay, now it's time for action? And then what should they do as far as like learning their baby's schedule, figuring out what's best for them, and how to best care for them?
Okay, so that was a tough one. But first thing to do is don't panic. Uh, and the second thing you do is accept it. You have to, once you accept it, then you'll be able to reach out for those services. You'll be able to, because now you want to learn. You have to, and realize like you're all they have at this point. And it is going to be a long road. So get ready, but not in a bad way. I would like to say when he was a baby, I didn't have a lot of services. Elwyn was really good because they had it all around. They had schools, they had programs, but there wasn't really a community for me, if I so to speak. I didn't know anyone else with an autistic baby. It was
Mhm.
just me and just me trying to figure it out. So nowadays, there's a lot out there. I would say reach out, I went to parenting classes. I was not ashamed. I had to
Mhm.
figure out what our next step was going to be. Uh, Anything you can do it. Um, for me, medication wasn't a journey, but if it's needed, if you feel like it's right for you, do it because I've seen children like CJ, but a lot worse off where they might be further on the spectrum and just no services, just no one, everyone's pretending like it's not happening. I'm like, you realize there's actually something you can do about this.
Right.
I would tell them to fight. You have to. You cannot leave them to it. I'm very glad that I went to these services and I I never stopped, and I'm still not going to stop. I've never stopped, but it can be overwhelming. And there is a point in life where you do slow down. So I would just say, pay attention to those slow down points, you know, because you do slow down sometimes and because you're trying, I have other kids, I have to focus on them. I'm doing this and that. And Clinton's usually the one left behind because it's like, oh, well, they don't have this for someone autistic, or they don't have basketball or soccer or, so it's very hard to find programs. But like I said, nowadays, there's so many things out here. There's so many programs that I wish I had. I would say utilize them and don't stop taking them out. I hate to say autistic friends that have autistic kids that they are like, I'm not taking him to the store. I'll leave him with a sitter. Or the more you take them out, the more experience they get, the more they know how to behave. Clinton goes on his own now to Target. I don't even have to take him. Where before, okay, we knew the Target security well because I used to have to get their help to get this child out of the store, okay, because he wasn't
Wow.
leaving. Don't stop taking them out. Don't stop giving them experience, just like any kid. You have to
Yeah.
learn the movies. They have to learn to be quiet in the movies, or, how to sit and eat at a restaurant without kicking off your shoes and screaming at everyone. So don't stop. Don't stop. Don't be embarrassed by it. It's a good thing. It helped me raise my other children.
That's excellent. Well, I want to say you are an amazing mom.
Oh,
Keep
thank you.
doing you and keep inspiring other parents who have children who are autistic. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a great conversation to speak to a mom who's learning, but can also laugh about it. Hard work, and I'm sure it will pay off. Let's look for CJ because he is going to be a famous comedian. No limitations, no judgment, just unconditional love from his mother and his family members. Peace and love.